my god, my grammar is correct. So yeah. So anyways, I can't really focus on what I had said, so I'll plow through and I'll continue on to my next point. My next point is Maruti Suzuki X Toyota X X Toyota X Maruti Ota. Really bad acronym, I know, but who the fuck cares? Anyways, as is normal. Anyways, getting a lot of weeds again. So Maruti Suzuki, I don't remember if this is the exact statement that I had said, by the way. So I don't really remember if I have mentioned this, but I absolutely used to hate Maruti Suzuki because, I mean, if you're automobile maker brand, then you should make your automobiles properly, which I thought that they weren't making properly up to a certain point. But then, recently, ever since they have collaborated with Toyota, they are actually making pretty decent machines. After the collaboration of the Toyota, the first Maruti Suzuki car that was launched was the Maruti Suzuki Dzire. And the Maruti Suzuki Dzire was launched with a 5-star NCAP rating, and at the time when it was launched, it was the safest car available in India. I was shook to my very core. But then obviously, I thought that this was a one-time thing, and Swift Desire is actually a very common car that is bought of the Maruti Suzuki brand. Everyone from common people up to cab drivers, everyone buys the Swift Desire. So it was really good that that Maruti Suzuki fixed the very car that they thought that is actually one of the most highest sold cars. But then I thought that it's a one-time thing. But then they launched the Maruti Suzuki Victoris. Before explaining about the Maruti Suzuki Victoris, I would like to give a context about CNG cars. So whenever someone purchases a CNG car, they have to mount a CNG tank in the boot, which obviously takes up a lot of space, and then reduces the boot space, and then slightly increases the risk of the passenger, because now you have a flammable, if in case of a leak, you have a flammable gas flowing right into the cabin of the car. And if something happens because of it, there is ignition, everyone will just burst into flames along with the car. And then also some customers who are complaining that they felt this weird smell, and I myself experienced that. They felt this weird smell coming in the cabin of the CNG vehicles whenever the CNG was filled, or whenever the CNG tank used to be almost empty. So this is the problem with the CNG cars as of now. The most famous advocate of CNG cars is obviously Maruti Suzuki. And what Maruti Suzuki did was absolutely shocking. They actually engineered a brand like Maruti Suzuki, which did not give a damn about customer safety, and was one of the brands which, as a matter of fact, it is Maruti who has inspired all the other manufacturers to not focus that much into R&D, not do any innovation at all in the cars, and bring out cars which are slightly good, and focus less on engineering and focus more on production. Basically do things which is convenient for the company, not convenient for the customer. With that being said, incoming Maruti Suzuki Victoris CNG variant. First of all, Maruti Suzuki Victoris is obviously a 5-star vehicle now, with the highest adult safety ratings and the highest child safety ratings. And obviously they have marketed that a lot. But they didn't stop there. In the CNG, all other variants are pretty basic. I think there is a petrol variant and a CNG variant. There might also be a hybrid variant, but I'm not sure. So obviously, I haven't done any research on this. And I mean, let's face it, no one really comes here for the research. So, anyways, coming back to the point, what they have done in the CNG variant is that they have mounted the CNG tank outside the car below the boot. I don't know if you can imagine that, but it is outside the car and below the boot. So what this does is, even if you are buying a I've shouted a lot and my throat is gone, but I'm still gonna power through because I'm a very little surgeon. So instead of, since they have now mounted the CNG tank outside the car or below the boot, what this does is this gives the customer who is buying the car entire access to the boot space in spite of buying a CNG vehicle. In spite of buying a CNG vehicle. And since they have mounted the tank outside, in case of a leak, the gas will now, escape into the atmosphere, and even if because if there is a leak, then the gas would be released into the atmosphere at a very high rate. So the tank will be immediately empty. And as far as my logical brain goes, and I don't want you to quote me on this, the car, even if it is extremely near to something which will cause an ignition or cause flames inside a inside a CNG conventionally, it still wouldn't happen, because now the gas is already spreading into the atmosphere at a rapid rate. Oh my God, Maruti Suzuki has literally solved a very big problem while offering safety and obviously best in class, or at least competitive features at a competitive price. Oh my God, I was half impressed here. It was extremely commendable and all that. But then they did not stop there. Maruti Suzuki a few years back launched the Maruti Suzuki Ertiga, which I don't know I've said this out loud or not, but that's when the definition of an SUV changed, and any seven-seater car with the capacity to with 3 rows and with the capacity to seat a minimum of 7 people was then regarded to be a SUV. And I partially blame Maruti Suzuki for that, but credit where credit is due. They never claimed this to be an SUV, and it was instead these cab platforms like Ola and Uber who gave an option for SUV. And when anyone booked a SUV, they instead received the Maruti Suzuki Ertiga. So it's not really Maruti Suzuki's fault, but it is their fault. So because of that reason, I never liked the Ertiga. And then to add to this, I think Ertiga up to a certain point was what, 3-star rated, and then it again became 0-star rated. And there is this one more thing. If you look at all the cars in India, if you you're looking at the car from the rear, okay, where there are the tail lights. So almost every car is, let's divide the car rear into two parts: the windshield part and the metal part. So the metal part below the windshield is always straight, but then the windshield is curved inwards. Now in 5-seater SUVs, this really isn't a problem. And then car makers also argue that making this curve you know, is more aerodynamic for the car, and this increases the efficiency. But now that I'm thinking about it, when they put that curve, the glass obviously is cheaper than the metal, so they increase the area where the glass will be put, and they reduce the area of the metal, doing slight cost savings. So this really isn't a problem. The curved windshield is really isn't a problem in five-seater cars or hatchbacks or any other vehicle really. But in seven-seater vehicles, this curve is really crucial because the extent of this curve will then decide the amount of space that will be present in the third row, or the amount of space or the amount of headroom that will be present for the customer in the front. For example, vehicles like XCV 700 and Kia Carens Clavis and any other seven-seater vehicle really have a very aggressive, not any other seven, let's pick out only these two vehicles, and maybe you can also include the Fortuner there, but I've never experienced the third row of the Fortuner, so I can't really quote on this. Even the Scorpio N, as a matter of fact, have a very aggressive curve, you know. So, at that point, since they have a very aggressive curve, uh, what happens is, since they have a very aggressive curve, first of all, they get extremely less space for the third row seat, because now the seat has to be taken slightly forwards in order to accommodate the curve and the third row, which reduces the legroom in the third row, first of all. And then, moreover, it also reduces the headroom in the third row seat, which is a perfect recipe to make a seven-seater SUV not a proper functional seven-seater SUV, but rather a 7 plus 2. Yet, I'll still give credit where credit is due. Manufacturers like Kia have given the option for sliding second row seats, where you can adjust the legroom by compromising on the legroom of the second row and giving slightly more legroom to the third row. And then eventually, if you obviously the head space is still a problem, but that is still manageable in the but that is still manageable when you have enough legroom. But then for manufacturers like Mahindra, they have not even given the second row. They have not even given slidable second row, and I think there is this facelift coming for XUV 700. I don't think that too has a second row. That too has a sliding second row, because that hasn't been advocated really anywhere. And considering the Bolero has been relaunched by Mahindra, and the Thar 3-door facelift has also been launched, and there are functional modifications actually in the Thar, without there being major modifications in the appearance. So maybe the XUV 702 might get some functional modifications, but I hardly doubt. So the curved windshield is what I'm trying to say, is taking up a lot of space, and instead, just like Safari, I really commend Tata for this. Just like Safari, if the XUV 700 had a similar design to that of the Tata Safari, where the rearmost part is almost vertical, so that there is a lot of head space and a lot of legroom. So there's that. And obviously, what my point is, the Maruti Suzuki Ertiga was also similar. There was hardly any space in the third row, and the rear part was curved, so in order to accommodate and in order to accommodate the people comfortably and so that the seats could be fit, which is also true for XUV 700 by the way. In order for people to fit and the seats to fit and all those things, they either reduced the effective height of the seat, they mounted it slightly lower, or what they did was, you know, they pulled the seat slightly forward. They pulled the seat slightly forward, which reduced the leg room and right on. But and that was similar. That was the case in Maruti 802. But then, right, I think in the last month only, the Maruti Suzuki Ertiga was launched, and they did not name it as a facelift. They did not give any other name for that. They did not do any heavy marketing. They just called it the 2026 or the 2025. I don't even know if they called it that also, but they called it the 2025 Maruti Suzuki Ertiga and the Maruti Suzuki X6. Now, why this update is significant is because after all this explanation, I received a call, so the recording was paused. So what I was trying to say is that after all this explanation, which could have been summarized easily in 2 lines, and I've wasted 10 minutes proving my point. So anyways, I'll get back to my point now. So what Maruti Suzuki have done is that they have straightened the rear of the Maruti Suzuki Ertiga and the XL6. And the car even though the length of the car is small, what appears is that they have reduced the front space and added that length to the back. So there is a very high chance that they have, since now the rear compartment of the vehicle is straighter, there is a very high chance that what you can say, there is a very high chance that the leg room has increased along with the headspace. And even if that's not the case, even if they have not pushed the seats further back, what I can guarantee that even though they have said they have kept things similar, but the way in which the direction in which Maruti Suzuki is going, they might have actually shifted the seats back. But even if they have not, they have now increased the headspace and they have also increased the luggage keeping capacity. And the XL6, obviously, which is the premium version of the Maruti Suzuki Ertiga, has now become even more commendable, or even more, what is it? Achievable? No. Even more desirable. Desirable, that's right. Has become even more desirable. So well done to Maruti. I am obviously again going to cut this video into 2 parts. I think the first part where I was randomly yapping was for about 18 minutes. So I can keep that part still the way it is, and I can, this second part, I can pitch this as Maruti Suzuki. And then, obviously, what I can do is for the thumbnail of the video, not for the thumbnail of the video, but for the thumbnail of the video, or even for the majority part of this video, I think there is a comparison available on the internet where the older version of Ertiga and the XL6 and the newer version of the Ertiga and the XL6 have been placed side to side, from the side view that is, and you can clearly spot the differences. I'll obviously try and do that. So there's that. I think I still have about 15 to 20 minutes for me to reach home. I had received a call from one of my friends, and I am contemplating whether or not I should pick it up or not. Because if I listen through my earphone, I will be able to listen, but my friend won't be able to listen to my voice. And if I my the mic which I'm using is also as a speaker, but then the speaker is not very clear, and then I don't think I'll be able to understand what the friend is saying. But I'm still gonna give this a try.